Say there have been 2 more tsunami warnings. Obviously, aftershocks are triggering these warnings. The police are moving people away. They don't want to take any chances. And you can see in the distance here this very thick black plume of smoke. Now, we understand from locals this is from a petrochemical installation. We've been here for maybe an hour, and it does to us look as though it's burning even more ferociously now than when we first got here. And we understand from locals that it's very difficult for the search and rescue teams and the emergency teams to get close enough to that particular incident to even be able to try and put it out. So this is a very quiet area at this point. As I say, people have been moving out the whole time. As we drove into the city of Sendai, there was a long queue of people trying to get out of the city. But bizarrely, when you drove through, it didn't feel like very much had changed in the city itself. It seemed normal until you turned a corner, and then you saw 100 cars queuing to get petrol, waiting an hour to just be allowed 10 litres of gasoline. You turned another corner, and then there was 100 people queuing for just the one grocery store in the town that was open. Another corner was turned around, and then you saw another 100 people waiting for a drugstore. There is very little electricity. There's very little mobile connection here, so many people are just trying to get out. Paula Hancock, CNN, Sendai in Japan.
Well, there is a huge concern right now about the youngest victims of Japan's earthquake and tsunami. Save the Children says such disasters can be incredibly traumatic for children. Stephen McDonald is the group's humanitarian response team leader in Japan. He's with us now by phone from Tokyo. Stephen, you have to worry about the little ones in a disaster like this. What's your greatest concern for the children caught in the middle of this?
Absolutely, Randy. I mean, as we know from long experience, these kinds of disasters have quite a dramatic effect on children. What we're particularly concerned about is both the short-term and the long-term impact. So we have teams who are going out tomorrow morning between Sendai and Tokyo to try and get a much better picture than we've had to date of the impact on children, to try and get a better idea of the kind of physical conditions that they're being exposed to at the moment. And then based on that information, and as our teams also move into the further northeast and into Sendai itself, we'll start to deploy what we call child-friendly spaces, which are basically an area where children can start to normalise their activities and hopefully start to get back into a routine.
Yeah, and you know, as we look at the damage there, we also notice that there are chilling temperatures there. So these children are probably, if and when you do find them, they're going to be cold and hungry.
They will be, and we're working very closely with the Red Cross and other local partners that we have in Japan, and they're really looking at the shelter needs of all the people who have been displaced by this horrific disaster. And what we're also very concerned about as well is that it's the school term here, and a lot of the schools will have been very badly damaged, if not destroyed, and because children were in school at the time, there is the potential that some will have been separated from their families.
Mm-hmm. And in your experience, just briefly, do you find that children can actually understand, those that you will find and those who have suffered through this, will they understand what's happened to them, depending on their age, of course, but can you speak to them about this disaster?
Yes, you can, but you need to do it in a particular way, obviously according to the age of the child, and the best thing that we can do is reassure them. I mean, even before I got on a plane to come to Tokyo, I had to reassure my own 4-year-old daughter that the things would be fine as she was seeing these images on the television. So we need to be able to reassure and support the children who have been impacted by this, but we also need to provide the parents with some tools as well, because they're going to be under a huge amount of pressure themselves. They're going to be coping with their own grief and loss as well, and they need to be able to express themselves in a way that makes the child feel safe.
Stephen McDonald with Save the Children, doing incredible work really to try and find and save these children who are caught up in this. Thank you so much. And if you are moved to help, like so many others who are watching as we bring you the images from Japan, you can certainly do so. You can help quake victims. All you have to do is visit our Impact Your World webpage. That's at cnn.com/impact. You'll find plenty of organizations there that you can sign on with to help. Tsunamis spread death and destruction in just a matter of minutes. So how do they form, and what makes them so powerful? We have some answers straight ahead.
A song by Paul Beckman, polylingual song, created March 11th, 2011. No, created March 12th. The song is going to be called How Are the Children Faring in This Earthquake in Japan? Using guitar chords B7, A7, and B7. Wonder how are the children faring in this earthquake in Japan? How are the children faring in the earthquake in Japan? In Japan, the 8.9, some say 9.1 earthquake in Japan that just happened. How are the children faring? How are the children faring in Japan?